Hey, hey, hey! This is CB, the Mustard Man, coming to you live with the Love Movement. And we're here to bring you a variety of topics. And my friend, my co-host that's helping me pilot this flight, she'll tell you what we're talking about.
All right. So, as Chris mentioned, it's the Love Movement, and we plan to talk about a variety of different topics, including politics, relationships, what happens in those relationships, fashion. We'll agree. We'll sometimes even disagree.
And that's what we do. That's what we do. So, in order for us to make sure that we're on the same page, we're going to tune into you because you are our audience and you the ones you support us. So at the end of the day, Toya, how was your weekend?
Oh, my weekend was great. I did actually get to see Creed. I actually got to saw it twice. So that was fun.
Oh, you sneaking around? You saw it twice? What's the deal?
No, I was not sneaking around, Chris.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to understand how it go, but at the end of the day, so I mean, we got a lot of things that's going on. I mean, I didn't understand what was happening with the flights. American Airlines and Delta almost crashed, and then they had airplane burning on Southwest. Then they had a fight. That was a damn fight. So I mean, like, I'm the type of guy. If I go to a concert, if I get on a plane, wherever I go, I'll see. I don't want to get in the middle of y'all bullshit. I mean, I'm sorry for saying boo, but I don't want to get in the middle of it.
Right.
So at the end of the day, yeah, that's what's going on. But it's a whole lot of other stuff going on. Tell me about Sweetie Pie. Tell me what happened.
That was a pretty interesting story. So 2016 is actually interesting and sad all at the same time. So back in 2016, the grandson of Sweetie Pie, his name was, I forget his exact name, but he was murdered. And essentially,
the person in
2016, he was murdered. He was 21 at the time. And his uncle, which is Tim was an actual participant on the Sweetie Pie show when it was airing. And he was the son of Sweetie Pie and the uncle of the young man who ended up getting killed. And he was just convicted last week of murdering his own nephew.
But what was the message behind that? I mean, what was he trying to accomplish? That's one of my things. What was he trying to accomplish?
Believe it or not, it was centered around money. Apparently, leading up to his death, he was Tim, which is his uncle again, had taken out several life insurance policies on him. And ultimately, he stands to gain $450,000 from murdering his nephew.
Hold on.
$450,000.
God bless America.
And what's even sadder is like that was like a dumb criminal move, in my opinion, because the first thing any investigator is going to do is first look at somebody that's closest to them, and then secondly, anything that appears to be suspicious is going to stick out like a sore thumb. So you go and take out a $450,000 policy on a young man who's 21 years old with no health issues, nothing that would scream that his death is going to happen soon, for lack of better words. And ultimately, again, that just stuck out to me as pretty suspicious, and obviously to the investigators who ultimately found him liable for conspirating to the death of his own nephew. So
wow, that's very interesting. I mean, I wasn't up on that game, but when I read about it, it was like disturbing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we are talking about the mental health situations, and they got all these commercials, and they got all of these medications that they're using, and then you got a brother that have a successful mother that's dealing with the sweetie pie
Franchise.
situation, and he kills his nephew for less than, I mean, just to kill his nephew don't matter for how much money it was, but it's disturbing.
It's very
And we're leading up into some things like even with Sean Kemp. I mean, I heard about that yesterday, and what they're trying to accomplish with Sean Kemp. You saying that you tracked somebody that had your phone, and they shot at you and you shot at them, but the shots that they shot at you, we never heard. What you think?
I don't know. I mean, the story and reading it sounds like it could be believable. And for those of you guys who's not aware, the Sean Kemp story is basically apparently someone had broken into his car. At least that's what's being reported. And the person that broke into his he ended up tracking his phone. One of the items that was stolen was his phone. He ended up tracking the phone and ultimately led him to the person who had stolen the items out of his car. So it's alleged that once he encountered the person shot at him and he shot back at him in self-defense.
Yeah, but see, if you steal my phone, I'm going to get a new one. Why am I going to shoot at you? I'm not shooting at you. I mean, this is Sean Kemp, because this is leading up into what our conversation is going to be, and that's about Ja Morant.
Yeah.
That is a musty situation, and I love this kid.
Mm-hmm.
I love this kid to death. He's the face of the Memphis Grizzlies, but he's gonna be the face of the NBA sooner or later. So when we add all of this stuff up, what are we looking at, Boo? When we go into looking at Ja Morant, Sean Kemp, which is a veteran in the game, because this is how I would share mine. I have two kids, and they both played in the NBA, but they got caught up with the law. But this is their situations were not self-imposed. Ja Morant, they came up with situations with him as far as he had threatened one of the
Hotel staff member.
yes,
Mhm.
but it was a supervisor.
Yeah.
Then you give a girl $500 for a tip, and then you go back and you have an issue with a kid that you play basketball with. Come on, tell me, Ja. Because I'm trying to connect the dots.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what you think Ja was thinking.
Well, I think first and foremost, a number of the other things that happened were concealed. I knew nothing about until this particular incident. And then that's when they started divulging certain information with regards to things that had happened in the past that weren't publicly known. Um, Honestly, he's 23. And let's just be realistic about your impulses and your going from very humble beginnings to now millions of dollars, probably still around the same company that he grew up with. And I'm not judging, I'm simply saying I'm just trying to play out all of the things that he has, around him and his potential distractions from him being positioned to make better decisions. What were we doing at 23? Now, I think that you need to have people around you that are going to keep you grounded and position you to make good decisions. But I also think he's an adult person that should also be held accountable for the decisions that he's making. And honestly, just frankly speaking, to go in a club, flash a gun, it screams immaturity, and it screams just not positioning himself to understand the gravity of where he's at and the consequences that come along with making poor decisions.
So the questions to our audience is this: is John Morant immature, or does John Morant trying to explain a mental illness or a mental frustration? Because I heard his coaches say he has to get to a place where he can help himself. So that's our questions to your audience. 708-223-8953. We're one is trying to figure out how John Moran is thinking and what's going on with him in the game. Because like I said earlier, I have two kids and they both have been in confrontations with the law, but they were not self-imposed. But at the end of the day, we're trying to figure out if this kid is reaching for help or if the what we call that mental health illness is gonna give him a scapegoat. We're trying to figure that out. And then what about the parents?
Yeah.
What about the parents?
I think to me, it's layers to this. And I think part of it is when you talk about mental illness, I think as a young man or any person within his age group, you may have certain stressors that you may find more difficult to maneuver through. But that's where it's a matter of having the appropriate people around you, parents, or people that you can, you trust to keep you anchored. I think that's going to be paramount in anybody's ability in the limelight like he is to just remain in a good light, in other words.
But so tell me what is their responsibility?
Here's the thing. You can't be with your children all the time. We know that as parents, period. So one would hope that you would instill enough in them foundationally to position them where when you're not around, they're still making good decisions. Or even if they're making not the best decisions, they can position themselves to know when to say when, in other words.
Okay. Well, hey, listen, callers. 708-223-8953. 708-223-8953. Please call us because this is a very interesting conversation about the man that is the face of his hometown Memphis Grizzlies and could possibly be the face of the NBA. And then we're trying to figure out how what his thinking process is, what he's going through, how he feels about things. And then we see the thing with Shawn Kemp, and that was like, okay, Shawn Kemp, you pull a gun, he pulls a gun in the club, you pull a gun in the parking mall. What's happening with that? Come on, Shawn Kemp. You was one of my heroes. You was one of the first teams that Michael Jordan them played. Chicago Bulls played in the championship. And I got a lot of love and respect for Shawn Kemp. I got a lot of love and respect for John Morant. I think he's a special talent. And I'm not trying to, blame anybody. I'm not trying to get into your personal business or whatever the case might be. But he's 23 years old. What happens to all other 23-year-old black men that looked up to him, that tried to figure out how he was living his life? So I'm just trying to get this right and make sure that I understand how this goes.
Yeah, I think that, unfortunately, in the limelight, like they are, Shawn Kemp as well as John Morant, their failures are public. They don't have the ability to have silent failures. So unfortunately, to much is given, much is required. So in that respect, you have to understand that, you're going to be more critically judged because, again, you're in the limelight. You have so many people looking up to you as a young man. And that with that comes a certain level of accountability. So unfortunately, hopefully this is a lesson that he can recover from. But it really just boils down to, I don't think it's a mental health thing. I'm not a therapist. I'm not trained in that area. So I'm not going to say that emphatically. But I believe this is a young man being immature, or making in that isolated moment, making an immature decision. And I think that he needs to have better support around him so that he can understand the gravity of where he is. He's a multi-million-dollar enterprise. He's his own brand.
Wow, you know what? And then some people think that he's a project
Hmm.
to the NBA. And that's how some people are looking at it. Like, this kid is a project. And I've seen other projects succeed, and then I've seen other projects fail.
Hmm.
Because you could look at Michael Jordan, he was a project.
Hmm.
And then you can look at LeBron James, they were projects. But then this kid is a project. Will he succeed or fail? That's one of the questions. Please call in to 708-223-8953, 708-223-8953. We would like to hear from you. And I really, again, appreciate all the text messages and all the calls and everything that you guys supply for us. Now, we're going to transition into some other things. Tell me about this Black Mafia family.
BMF.
Talk to me.
BMF. I love the BMF show. It looks like we got a caller.
We got a caller. Call the love line, y'all. Call the love line. We looking for a caller.
So about BMF. BMF is a show that has been on for now, I believe, 3 seasons. And ultimately, it's a show about two brothers who were well-known drug dealers in Detroit back in the early 90s, and they made millions of dollars. They're both in jail currently, but there's an actual show that 50 Cent produces that tells the story of their experience.
Okay. And now, is 50 Cent a genius or what?
He is.
He's a genius. What we got? Hey, we got a caller. We're going to talk to her in a few right now. Hello.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Thank you for the love call. Thank you. Who is this?
This is Chatty.
Okay, Chatty.
You arrested me a couple of times.
I did. See, there you go. Okay. Did I help you? If I arrested you, I had to help you.
You did. You helped me out quite a bit.
Okay.
But my nephew was shot and killed in Hanover Park, an industrial area.
Okay.
4 years ago.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to put his mama name out there, but you know her very well.
Okay.
Our condolences.
And, I'm sorry?
Our condolences.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't no, mental illness. We all suffer from it. I know I do. I really do, but I know what y'all talking about, but I'm just saying, he was killed for no reason whatsoever.
I understand, sweetheart. And trust me, you're brave for even calling here, opening up to us. And we want to understand what you're trying to say. So go ahead and tell us what you're trying to say.
It's too much unnecessary shooting out here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Too much.
Okay.
I mean, I understand what's going on with the NBA player. I watch it every now and again. Only watch your kids, Chris, because of you.
Bless you.
Literally.
Bless you. But it's not about me, boo. We're trying to help everybody. And I appreciate your call, and we want to help your son. We got other callers calling in, and
my nephew.
Okay, and your son, your nephew, and we're gonna be praying for him. And then I want you to call in and leave your information personally, so we could have a private discussion with you.
I sure will.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for
God
calling.
Bless you. Thank you for
Thank you for
calling.
calling.
Bless y'all, and thank y'all so much.
All right.
No problem.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay.
All right.
So as we saw, that's an example of how, you know, having a gun can lead to other things. And, that was a real life example of what could potentially happen. And, on this other side of that, that humanized it, at least for me, in retrospect, as far as the Joe Morant story. Obviously, he didn't go that far. I'm not in any way saying that that could happen, but um, that's essentially the start of it. He
Hey
had a
y'all,
gun in his possession.
listen. This is National Women's History Month.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna give her own platform for a woman because she's intelligent, she's smart, and she can invite any guest that she wants. But I'm gonna give her week where she can just express how women feel about certain things. And that was very deep. Thank you for the call, young lady. We got so many issues that's going on, but we want to stick to the point. Now, John Morant is 23-year-old. Sean Kemp, you're almost 40 something. I mean, you 40 something or 50 something.
53.
This is the difference of how this game go. You go from a John Morant, which was Sean Kemp was, to a Sean Kemp.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the money is not there. Everything that's going different. Your mindset is different because I feel in my situation, dealing with two kids in the world that played in the NBA, sometimes I think they're nuts. Because to play a game that's 3 million people, 5 million people are trying to get into, but it's only 400 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mind thing. So when I'm talking about John Morant, he's in a mind game.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were that elite player out of the million people that are trying to get into the game. You are one of the top 3. What does the kid think like that? I mean, what is in his mind? How does he think? How does he feel about? Is he a real? Does he feel like he's a normal person? Does he feel like he's a different person? Does he feel like he gets privileges? His mom called him about a situation. I think that was at the mall.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a superhero? What is he trying to do to his family?
I think it's very easy, to your point, to become larger than life. And I think that situations like this will help keep you grounded, because when it's all said and done, again, his failure is public now. He's being judged, he's being scrutinized. So this humbled him in a way. And again, there are stressors that none of us may be able to identify with, because I haven't ever played played sports on that level. You haven't.
Me either, but I had 2 musty ass sons.
Right.
They're my best friends too.
Right. So it's like I assume you would get to a point where you become superhuman. And what does that mean? I'm not in any way taking away from his talents. I'm simply saying that he needs to be positioned to make better decisions. He's doing things that common people would do. So, that's how I look at it.
So this is another question. Is the mental health illness a way out? Is that what people are using? Is that what the people are using? Because this is self-imposed. These are not things that somebody else did for him or did to him. This is what he did. Does he have an issue? These are the questions that I'm trying to find out.
I think we all struggle with something.
Yes.
And I think that because we all struggle with something, I think that you have to position yourself where you can have anchors. You need people around you. You need to be self-assured, self-aware. And if you need to go sit on somebody's couch, you should feel comfortable doing that. At his level, if he needs to decompress or be positioned to decompress in a way that would align with getting psychological assistance or having a therapist, why not? I think that that's something we definitely should not frown upon.
So I mean, so then how do we look at Sean Kemp's situation?
I don't know enough about the situation. I know what the story said. I feel like it could have happened. I'm in agreement with you. I don't think I would have taken it that far if I lost my phone or somebody stole my phone. If I tracked it down, I would get the law enforcement involved to help me reclaim my property. But I don't think I would take the aggressive approach.
So this is one of the questions that we have to ask ourselves. Since Sean Kemp is a retired NBA player, what is the process that he goes through to go from 100,000 people
Mm-hmm.
in the stands? A lot of people call this the Muhammad Ali effect.
Mm-hmm.
Muhammad Ali, they said that he was so used to fighting and he was so used to the lights, cameras, and actions that he could not give that up.
Right.
So he kept fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turned out that he got beat up so bad, his brain
Mm-hmm.
got messed up
Mm-hmm.
in the process, and he developed Parkinson's or whatever the case might be.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to find out, how do these people feel? What is their transformation process? Because I'll tell you, becoming a senior citizen, my thought process is different.
You had to transition.
Shit. Oh shoot. But I don't mean to be crazy, but yes, you do. Because
Yeah.
all this mail that comes in and they trying to trick your mind. And I had Sean Whalen the other day, and I'm going to share some of this information with you. He said that when you become 65, you're dead and tired. But not me. I ain't finna die and tired. But my thought process changed.
Right.
So what is Sean Kemp's thought process as far as him being an ex-NBA player? And he was a superstar, and they played the Chicago Bulls in the championship one year, and we tore that butt up. So that's what I'm saying.
Well, I feel like with anything, there's transition. And I feel like, he had to go from various stages. He started out as a young man. He went through a number of years with a very lucrative career in the NBA. From what I understand, he's now a businessman who owns multiple businesses locally. So again, I think it's still a matter of impulse control, being positioned to make better decisions. And that can be true at 23. That can be true at 53. Either way, it's ironic that they have a 30-year age gap. And the stories surrounding guns being utilized are very similar. So again, it's a matter of, is this a matter of, both of them being positioned where they're not making good decisions? Or is it something more? I just think the world is probably going to be more forgiving with Ja Morant because he's 23. And at 23, you're going to make more impulsive decisions that ultimately could lead to, unfortunately, this type of situation.
Well, see, what about the understanding? And what I'm saying is, in the understanding, is that they're on another level as far as finances, popularity, or whatever. But what about that regular kid? What about that kid that don't get that attention?
Right.
That bullying program. I listened to the Channel 7 the other day, and they were talking about mean girls.
Mm-hmm.
That means a group of mean girls, and they have an organization that talks about bullying girls at a young age. So when we're talking about a Ja Morant and we're talking about a Sean Kemp, that's on a different level. What about our level, my level, your level, the kids that we deal with every day? How do you think they feel when they see things like this?
I think that people are human. And I think, I'm not excusing his behavior. He does have people that are looking up to him, so he has a higher responsibility. But I believe that the common person is going to make mistakes, just like any other person. So I believe that when we talk about the common person and how they're going to view someone like this, of course they're going to be critical. But when it's all said and done, we're all humans.
708-223-8953. 708-223-8953. I really, 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 really want to thank all the supporters, everybody that came into our lives, came into our program. We're going to be getting some things together as far as getting the marketing together and sponsorship and all of that good stuff. But at the end of the day, we worry and we're concerned about how we approach and how our tactics are as far as this mental illness thing and all of that. Because I've been seeing a lot of commercials, that's talking about the AIDS epidemic and a lot of medicines and a lot of medicines for the mental illness or whatever the case might be. And it's very, very crucial that we make the people understand what we're trying to accomplish and what they should do and what they shouldn't do. Because one of the big things that I had and I always thought about this is when you go to schools and they tag your kids as being ADD or whatever the case might be, that's more money for the schools. So are you programmed? Are you programmed to buy into this program? Because a lot of parents used to call me and I told them, don't put your kids on drugs. Beat their ass. That's the best drug that they can have, because at the end of the day, now we're not going to beat them like they're slaves. We're going to beat them to teach them. We're going to whoop you to teach you. Or nowadays, I mean, they don't whoop them, but you put them in timeout. You take away things from them. You take away the things that they like. If I want to hurt my kid right now, if I was your age and you had a kid, I'll take away his Wi-Fi because he can't produce.
It would
with
be
the
catastrophic.
Wi-Fi. I'll take away those type of things. Yeah. So what I'm trying to do is just, we got to have alternatives for better results.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Alternatives for better results. We're not trying to clone our kids to be slaves or whatever the case might be, but we're trying to find out better results because the life is different. When I grew up, I'm in my 60s, you're in your 40s. When I grew up, it was like you either wore these gym shoes or you didn't.
Right.
It wasn't we bought gym shoes from A&P, Walgreens. Y'all got to go to Foot Locker and all of the top name stores or whatever. We had PF Flyers.
Right.
We didn't have the Michael Jordans. He got 23 shoes come out, and when the 23 shoes come out, he just changed one of the tape. But them shoes, ain't nobody in the game selling shoes like that.
Right.
But I wore PF Flyers and I bought them from A&P.
Right.
So the mindset changes, the different changes. So what we're trying to do to our audience and love our audience about what we're trying to accomplish is we're trying to feel how you feel. We want to make sure we have a marriage. We want to make sure this is a wedding. We want to have a wedding. We want to grow with each other. But hey, I appreciate you, kid. There's a lot going on in this game. And
I think one thing to mention is you mentioned the conversation about mental health is that we're not trying to discredit the fact that there are people out there with actual mental illness who may have to have support around them, whether it be through medication, therapy, and so on. So don't want to water that down or disregard that. But we also want to bring to light, or at least start the conversation on, are we becoming hyper-focused in certain areas, specifically around, is this a mental health thing as it relates to John Morant? Or is it simply poor decision making? And in that, can he be supported through making better decisions? Is it a matter of, that harsh accountability factor that we all had to go through growing up, where, there's more accountability in place. So it really just is a matter of, identifying exactly what it is. We can't use mental illness always as a scapegoat, because there are some things that are not directly connected to mental illness.
And see, you got to look at the strategies of a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since you said what you said, here's a retired player as Sean Kemp. Is his issue mental? Because is he struggling from the fact that he's retired and he's not making that money anymore? He's not making that kind of money, and he's in a hustle situation now. See, the transition from being poor to rich, being poor again,
can be overwhelming.
It's very different.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming.
Exactly. And so my thing is that I'm blessed to be in a community where we have NBA players.
Yeah.
From the Proviso Township, Proviso East especially, but Proviso West or whatever the case might be, and to share their information. I have a personal relationship with Michael Finley and Doc Rivers, and hopefully we could get them on the show to tell us what is really going on.
That would be great.
Moonshine Slim, my man, that's my man.
Right.
I used to break him down when he was a young kid,
mm-hmm.
and then he grew up. Now he's a man, and he's taking care of his business. But at the end of the day, we want to share our information with you, and we want to make sure that you understand this is easy.
Mm-hmm.
This is easy for us to love you, and we're gonna have discrepancies. We're gonna have disagreements. We're gonna go through some 8 highs and lows, but at the end of the day, we're gonna love each other and move on. What you think?
What I think is we should spend a little more time talking about Creed. Creed was a great movie.
Ooh-wee.
Again, I saw it twice.
Yeah.
And the movie grossed internationally over $100 million.
Yeah, but see, that was the thing. They took out Ant. They took out the Ant-Man. Is that what it was? The Ant-Man.
Who was the Ant-Man?
Ant-Man, Creed box office was 58 million this past weekend.
Correct. And that was nationally.
Yeah, huh?
That was nationally.
Yeah, that was national.
Mm-hmm.
But it was 58 million. But what I'm saying, it was a good story. And this is why I really like the story. Not because of the fight, not because of whatever the case might be, not because of the content, but he had a mute daughter.
Yeah.
And he had to sign language to her.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that brought a different
side
aspect into the game.
Yeah.
And it was good. So I'm promoting Creed. I'm promoting Creed to everybody that don't go to the movies. Go to the movies and see Creed. I love the big screen. I've been going since I was a kid. I watch Hercules and Samson and all of that stuff, and what they call that, Karate Kid and all of that. But anyway, that's what I promote.
Yeah, great eye candy, ladies. Also.
Oh, there you go. See, I knew you was gonna come with that.
Eye candy.
See, because they got muscles.
No, great.
Yeah, no.
That,
They got muscles. I got muscle too.
Not just that, but Michael B. Jordan also directed the movie. This was his directorial debuts, and he did
what
an
does
amazing
directed
job.
and eye candy got to do with each other?
Because he's not only easy on the eyes, but he's also talented.
What about the other brother that played in Devotion?
He was great.
He was awesome. He was very good. And I appreciate your eye candy, but at the end of the day, shit. There wasn't no women in that movie like
well,
that.
I mean, the wife
She was all right, but she ain't take no clothes off.
Oh
she,
my God!
She
Here
did.
we go.
We
Chris.
didn't see her in a bathing suit or nothing like that. We just saw her doing what she do. But at the end of the day, God bless you. I appreciate everything. Hey, we'll see y'all next week. We might have some guests. We might not have some guests. We're going to have some fun. I'm going to Brandon Johnson's event on Saturday, the 18th of March at the Truth. And we'll be there. God bless you. Talk to you later. This is the Love Movement.
I think I'm the one. I think